Hi students, I hope all are fine. So today we are going to learn a ballad. Ballad in the sense it's a poem written in the form of a story. Okay, the name of which is A Legend of the Northland. It is written by Phoebe Cary, who was an American poetess. Okay, so when you hear the name, the Northland, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? You think of the direction, isn't it? North. We have south, west, east, and also north, isn't it? So it is spoken about a land that is in the northern part of the world. Okay, northern part of the world, and it's a legend. Legend means what? Legend means it's a story or something that is handed on through tradition. Okay, so we are going to learn that. So this particular poem is written in the form of a ballad. Okay, what do you mean by a ballad? Okay, if you see here, a ballad is a song narrating a story in short stanzas. Ballads are a part of folk culture or popular culture and are passed on orally from one generation to the next. A legend of the Northland is a ballad. Okay, so ballad is a song or it's a song narration of a story. Okay, so this particular poem is written in the form of a story. Okay, in the form of a story. If you read it, you will understand. You will be reading it as though you are reading a story. Okay, this poem may not have all these figures of speech and so on in it. Okay, so ballad is like that. It is written in the form of a story. Okay, so this particular poem is about a legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed. Okay, so the legend is saying about an old lady who was greedy. Okay, who was greed. So before we enter the chapter, first thing that we need to keep in mind that okay, we have so many people traveling all over the world, isn't it? We have so many tourists. Okay, maybe because of this COVID and so on, now it has come down, but even India was a place of tourism, isn't it? So many people used to come from so many places to India. So in the olden days we had this propagation of religion, isn't it? Propagation of religion. We had so many missionaries. Missionaries are those people who are coming from other countries to speak about their religion to our country or to any other country. They are leaving their homeland and going to another country in order to preach about their religion. So we had so many missionaries coming to India, be it Christian Catholic missionaries or be it Muslim missionaries or Jains. Then we have all these Anglicans. So many religions are there, and for all those religions we have so many missionaries also. Okay, those people would travel around the world and preach their religion. So Saint Peter is from the Christian religion. Okay, Catholic religion. So Christian religion. So he was a missionary. So more than a missionary, he was an apostle of Christ. Okay, Jesus, who is considered as the god of this Christianity, he seems to have lived in the world. Okay, so when he was living in the world, he had chosen 12 disciples whom he had called as apostles. Okay, as apostles. So he had 12 apostles, and Saint Peter is one of them. Saint Peter is considered to be the head of the apostles. So all these apostles would travel around the world to preach about Christianity, about Jesus, and so about the religion. So this particular legend is about an old lady when Saint Peter was having his missionary expedition, he was hungry and he goes to an old lady and asks for a piece of bread. That's what we are going to see. And this lady was rather greedy and it angered Saint Peter. So we'll see what has happened to Saint Peter and what is this legend about. Okay, so it's a very simple one. You will be able to understand it in simple words. Okay, away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it is true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Okay, so we have three short stanzas which speaks about this legend, which gives a kind of introduction to this legend. So this story is happening in the Northland, okay, in the northern part of the world. So in north, as you know, north is a place where winter used to be very strong. So during winter, there won't be much sunlight and the nights will be short. Okay, the nights will be very long. Okay, there won't be any sunlight and the nights should be very long and they cannot sleep them through. Means to say it used to be very cold because it is in the winter season. Okay, no, north is always considered to be in the winter season. They have more winter season than any other seasons. Okay, so here during this time they harness, means harness to say they used to hitch or they control or tie the reindeer. Reindeers are a type of deer that is seen in the northern part of the world. Okay, where it snows. Okay, where there is snow and so on, we see a reindeer. And in those places we can see children, small babies like bear cubs. Means to say, it since it is very cold, they would cover themselves with a very furry clothes. Okay, like what do you call it, as woolen clothes. Okay, if you see Eskimos and so on, I hope you have seen Eskimos. Eskimos are those people who live in Antarctica, isn't it? So they live in the snow. They live in the snow. So like them, they used to be, these very small children used to be dressed with very furry clothes. So means to say, when we see them, it we would consider them as a bear cubs because they used to be very tiny and covered in woolen clothes. So here the author is saying, okay, here the elder people are telling a kind of story, a kind of legend to the small boys and small girls, small children, but I don't know whether it is true. The poet is saying about his disbelief whether the legend is true or not. And the poet is saying, okay, whether it is true or not, we can learn a lesson from this story, and we will see what that lesson is. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching, just as he did, he came to the door of a cottage in traveling around the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her for some store of cakes to give them a single one. To give him a single one. Okay, so this is a story about Saint Peter as he was traveling around the world preaching about Christianity. We know that he was preaching Christianity and so on. Okay, he used to travel around the world. So once he came to a door of a cottage, okay, a small house where there was a woman. Okay, there was a woman. Saint Peter was traveling around the world and he was very hungry. He was very hungry, and he found that this lady was baking cakes. So he found that this lady was baking cake. So what did he do? He was very hungry, and he went to that lady and asked for some cakes. Okay, it's not some. He asked for one single piece of cake. So let us see what this lady did. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Therefore, she kneaded another and still a smaller one, but it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. Okay, so what we see, Saint Peter asking this lady about a piece of cake. So what happens? This lady, with all willingness, she prepared a cake. Okay, she prepared a small cake, very small cake. But when it was being baked, what happened? This lady found that this cake was very big. So what did she do? She kept it aside and tried to bake another one. Okay, another one is still smaller in size. So it was being baked. Then when this lady looked at it again, when and she found, okay, this one also as big as the other one. Okay, so from here what we can understand is that this lady was not a generous person. Okay, she was a greedy one. She was a miser. So that's why she was finding that all the cakes which she was making was still bigger, though it was very tiny. Okay, so next class we will see what is that thing that would anger Saint Peter, whether this lady would make another one or give this cake. All those things we'll see in the next class. So now we have understood the background that this lady was not that a generous person. Okay, she was not that a generous person. So it's because she did not feel like giving. Okay, did not feel like giving generously. Okay, so we have a very simple worksheet. Okay, if you look at the poem, you can find rhyming words. Okay, rhyming words. Just find out some of the rhyming words and note it down in your worksheet book. Okay, so if you go through the poem, you will be able to find it. So I hope today's class is clear to you. Thank you and bye.